even though I know nobody's on here yet. But I wanted to go live because I've been thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking just to figure out. I got all kind of effects I can do on here too. That's cool. I didn't know that. I've just been out here thinking, really. Just see no logos. That works. Been out here thinking past couple days, past couple weeks, basically about you know all the things that have been happening with this truck and things that's been happening at Prime, and just really trying to figure out, is is what I'm doing or the actions that I take to like try and rectify situations I have going on, is it the right course of action, or am I stepping out of line and you know am I kind of going out of line? So I'm trying to hold this with one hand so I can scroll through comments. Good morning, good morning. Do it all. Do it all. What's going on, my man? Ron Gasson, good morning. He's instructing what's going on. But like I said, I just been thinking over the past couple days, you know, obviously I think things through. As you guys know, I've been having issues with what's been going on here, as far as loads or the way my truck has been being ran. And I was just thinking, do I do I'm trying to put myself in somebody else's shoes. Obviously, I'm going to do what I'm going to do because I'm me. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to figure out, is the things that I do a culture, like a plausible or a culturable experience here. May subscription. He's so stupid. I appreciate the super chat heathens. But I was just thinking, and I'm gonna get to my point. I'm not gonna try and be on here that long, but I feel like I am because I feel like once I start talking about it, I'm getting into it, start answering questions, stuff like that. But anyway, so you guys know I've been sitting on loads. Total set sitting time in between loads as a team truck in the past 7 days now is a total of 74 hours, if my math is correct. Yes, there's a total of 74 hours this week. Now, for those of you guys who watch the driver meeting on Fridays, I actually posed this question to operations, and operations got back with me on that actually. So even though he did respond to me on the actual driver meeting, but he actually followed up with that and called me and we had a discussion about it. Now, with those actions, right? Am I do I feel like this is a one-off thing? Number 1. Do I feel like this is just happened to be the way the cards fell this week? That's number 2. And is this something that is preventable? Like those are things that I thought about, and this is again after the conversation I had with operations. I had a conversation with my fleet manager, um, and then obviously we can't talk to sales or the planner, so these people don't exist, or we don't have enough clearance to talk to those people. But after discussing with my fleet manager and after discussing with the operations supervisor, we all basically came to the same point. We do feel like this, one, things do happen. I'm not saying that I don't understand that things happen, right? Like I have to take myself out of like a lot of times when I make or I with topics such as this, I often my I take myself out of the driver's seat. I have to look at it in the eyes of a business. So oftentimes when I look at stuff like this, I don't look at it as like, am I upset that I had to sit a team truck for 74 hours this week? Obviously, yes. But once you take yourself out of the driver's seat and think of it from a business perspective, I wonder if I can prop this up right here because I'm tired of walking already. I've been walking and talking to Travis all morning. And it's going to work. Cool. So I forgot my point now. Where was I talking about? Oh, so yeah, obviously as a driver or as a business owner, obviously I'm upset that I had to sit my truck, right? it happens. That my argument or my point of the topic of discussion with the operations supervisor is number one. I understand that. I understand things happen. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people who's going to be like, uh, this is ridiculous. This is the final straw. Like, I've been here 2.5 years. This is probably not probably. This is the first and only time this has happened, and I feel like I was upset the first time. So in a way that makes it seem to better help the customer. Yes, and that's the point I'm about to get to right now. So, um, I forgot what I was saying before that though. Um, yeah, so I understand, like, obviously as a driver, I don't want to have to sit, and but I wanted to reiterate the point that, you know, it's not, and I feel like I mentioned this on my last video, it's not that the revenue was bad. It's just the time sitting for those loads are bad. And when I spoke with operations and my fleet manager yesterday, I actually had two conversations with my fleet manager or three conversations with my fleet manager this week about it. And this last conversation we had yesterday, we spoke of operations and my fleet manager and me together. And again, my whole main point was my issue was not that the revenue was not there. That was not, because that was not the case. And I feel like I said that on my last video. I honestly I had to go back and watch it to make sure I did, or I will record another video and clarify. But my main issue was not that the revenue wasn't there. My main issue was the having to sit on a load, that in fact is a solo load, right? And my whole main argument was, if one, the revenue is there, I can agree with that. But two, how many, and my kind of rebuttal or argument was, how many loads can a solo or even more so a team truck do in a 74-hour period? So that 74 hours of work or customers or rejected loads that we could have been covering, that that I have right now. I have a really Brian, is a really strong co-driver or student of mine right now. So we both had a discussion with our fleet managers. We're gonna run all TNT straight through. We're gonna be hard. Like, our first week of TNT, we ran 6,300 miles, and then we went home for a week, and then we came back, and then, well, we came back from home time after 8 days, and then we've been dealing with this, which is the sit time. Revenue was there. The miles were kind of there. We did 5,400 miles last week, but it's more so having us sit on loads that we could be covering, but you're having to turn down because you have us sitting on a load that could have been taken over by a solo truck. And I can say that once I take myself out of the shoes of a driver, that I understand where Prime is coming from. However, that does not, and they agreed with me when I said this. It does not make it better, or it does not make it right, because a sitting truck doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't benefit me as a driver. It doesn't benefit me as an owner operator. It doesn't fit, you know, people who need to have, not only just regular students, but people who are on team trucks getting paid a, company salary. If you're co-driving with someone that's in a lease truck, if there's no miles being turned, there's no money being earned. That was a good rhyme. I might be a rapper one day. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, and then we're gonna start back walking too. So it's just that it doesn't help anyone just to sit like that's, you know in a 13 to 14. Let's just safely assume it was an 18-hour period, since we've sat for 4 of those this week. In an 18-hour period, it has been proven and shown that we can generate at least, you know $2,000 of revenue in 18 hours. So I sat for 5 of those weeks. So to me, 2 times 5 is 10. I missed out on $10,000 in revenue this week, to me. So that's the way that I'm looking at it as a driver, or as a business owner, not even as a driver. As a driver, I don't mind sitting every once in a while. And let me just say that in case, someone's watching, like, oh, he doesn't mind sitting, we'll just do it again. No, that's not the case. I don't mind sitting every once in a while, just to relax, unwind. We don't have to go all the time. But what's going on, Ronche? You don't have, we don't have to go all the time. That wasn't my argument. My argument was just like we could better be serving Prime, or we could be better be serving our customer if we are planned accordingly. And I'm not saying all this to say that I'm putting all of the blame on Prime. I had to take myself out of the shoes of the driver. Yes, I'm a driver for Prime, and yes, Prime controls the loads that I take or don't take to an extent, because I can say no. But it's more or less come down to appointment times, and or if that customer, and I'm glad the operator reached out to me to, kind of agree with me on that point, because I've had that suspicion anyway. Because usually I'll call a customer and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna be here a day and a half early. Can I go ahead and come and get unloaded?" Five of those times I got no, no, I can't. Because of the type of loads we have produce loads. So if they don't have space for those loads, we can't come in early, and it benefits people, or benefits our customers, if we have, if the produce sits in a trailer that's being cooled for a certain amount of time until they can free up space in the warehouse. On the logistics side, I understand that. I get it. But that comes down to, if we can't figure out some type of way to better serve our customers, then what would be a better compromise, or a better course of action, or a better plan? Obviously we had plans to get repowered by solo trucks that were out of hours or sitting at home. Like, we came up with three of those plans this week. All three of those fell through. So it's not, I'm not putting the blame on Prime. It's just I'm looking at it a little higher up than just being a driver, or just being a business owner. I'm looking at it from like a logistics side. Like, hey, if I have 7 trucks here, and four, or no, I'll say eight, just an even number. It's 8 trucks here. I have 8 loads, and 4 of those trucks are team trucks, and I have 14 loads and 4 solo loads. I would give the team loads to the team trucks and solo loads to the solo trucks, right? But it seems that somehow that's not becoming the case, because I talk to all you guys. I talk to people on Facebook. We network. It comes down to, somehow that the team loads are getting on the solo trucks, and then once they get some of that revenue or some of those miles off of it, they're like, "Oh, we can't finish this load. We need a repower," and then we get caught up stuck like that. Because if we were to, like, for instance, one of our customers, we got there the same, like, the previous load, we do me and my co-driver, our team truck delivered the same time as a solo driver at a 90. We got empty there, and we went up to our O1, which is up north, or it's about 140-mile deadhead, something like that. Went up there, got to the O1, and we got there at the same time. It was the same solo truck and us. That driver was able to shut down that customer because we had the same, which had to sit in Virginia for 18 hours. Day before yesterday? Yesterday? I think it was day before yesterday. But again, it comes down to, solo truck and team truck. And obviously, putting that load on a solo truck would be fine, because it was solo load appointment times. But I feel like there should be some type of compromise. If let's say hypothetically, we were the only 2 trucks in that area. Let's say it was 2 loads, both solo loads. We were the team truck, they were the solo truck. I feel like at a point, if we have to put a team truck on a solo load, immediately there should be some type of communication to the customer, like, hey, we didn't have a solo truck to put this on. We do have a team truck to put it on. Can we set up some new appointment times? You know, like, I feel like, and I'm not saying that that's not the case, but obviously I don't know. I'm not on those email threads or follow ups, because I'm a driver. Like, it's none of my business. But I feel like that shouldn't be such a hard thing to be able to do. I don't feel like it'll be that difficult, but I do also understand that it's not completely up to us. Like we can ask all the time we want, but if the customer says no, then the customer says no. So I said I'm doing all this to say, what happens or what do you do if you find your? It doesn't have to be at Prime. You could be doing flatbed somewhere or a tanker, just a truck driver in general. What do you do if you find yourself in this situation? Reach out and talk to your fleet manager. You know, and I know this is just like the kind of band-aid over the wound kind of thing, over open cut, open wound, whatever. Reach out to your fleet manager, have a conversation with them. And I did, even though I already understood the concept, it's still better to have that open line of communication with your fleet manager. Like I feel like that me and my fleet manager now have a fantastic relationship. So we sit down, we talk, we say our points or we say how we feel, and then we go from there. We develop a plan, we continue from there. If that does not work, and like I said, I follow chain of command. So not really follow chain of command because I honestly didn't expect to reach out to operations. He just happened to be on the driver meeting, and I'm like, and my question was literally, what are we doing about having team trucks sit on solo loads? And then he got back to me on my current situation. So it's it's just communication. Like yes, you're gonna be upset in the moment. And I know I was. But at the same time, it's still a learning experience. Like I'm still out here to learn, right? Because I am a truck driver, I am a business owner. I understand logistics, but I don't work with logistics every day. Well, yes, I do. But I'm constantly learning. But I'm learning other sides of business based on the situations that I'm dealing with now. So that way, because as you guys, well, I don't think you guys do know. So I plan on generating a fleet here at Prime. I already have the funds to place orders for trucks. I just haven't done it yet. But I can say that I have my orders on hold because of the situation that I'm in. And from a business owner of one truck, why would I buy 2 to 3 trucks, put solos and or teams or trainers in them, and have them deal with the same issues that I'm having? So I put my orders on hold to allow myself to learn, like, all right, what happens if we do this? And so I'm using me as an experiment. I'm using my truck as the experiment instead of buying other trucks and then having it happen to other trucks, and now I'm pissed off because my trucks are sitting not making money. So I'm taking it as a learning experience, and I'm just using myself and my truck as the guinea pig. Like, okay, how can I make this situation better? Like, what can I do as a driver to make this better? Is there something in my planning I can do better? Is there different load selection I could have done better? Is it being wary of the type of customers that I can do better? Which in these cases, it's 50-50. As lease operators, we have the power to decline loads. So obviously, me sitting 74 hours this week is not fully on Prime because I, as the business owner, did accept these loads. Again, I accepted these loads under the contingency that we had a plan to not sit on these loads. However, I still accepted these loads. I accepted that risk. And I feel like I see a lot of you guys YouTube content. I talk to a lot of people, a lot of other lease operators, new and old, that get into situations and are super quick to be like, you know what, this company did this to me. This is their fault. Da 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 da. Whatever the case may be. I feel like the only people who have some type of he say she say on this would be company drivers, in which company drivers get paid layover. So, and I would know because I was a company driver. But outside of that, if you're a lease operator, everything that happens to you as a business owner, as a fleet owner, is not 100 unless it was like blatant forced dispatch, which we don't even Prime doesn't do. And you can people can say all they want that we're forced dispatch, and I've even said it. I've said, oh, I haven't said forced dispatch. I said that we were forced to sit on a load, which we were, but we're not forced dispatch. You as the business owner, you as the driver, have to remember that you could have said no to that load. You can say yes to a load because it sounded nice and then something messes up, and then the first thing out people's mouth, and again, I've done it, so I'm not saying that it's impossible for you to do that. But the first thing out people's mouth is, "Oh, this company does this to me, it's their fault." Well, no, not really. It could be you as the driver for planning. It could be the customer not ready to accept that load, or it could be you know Prime who changes the appointment time, which they would change the appointment time because you as a driver were running late and weren't running your hours correctly. There's so many different variables. There's so many different reasons that stuff can go wrong, and I even had to take myself back to say, hey, I need to stop being so quick to blame Prime, because immediately, and I felt it in this week. I felt myself be like, you know what, this is Prime's fault. Prime forced me to do this. But then I had to sit back, before I talked to my fleet manager operations. I'm like, yes, I can blame Prime because they said that they're going to do this and they didn't. But I also had to sit back as someone who's in complete control of their truck and their business, that I took the responsibility of taking these loads, and it's not just strictly on Prime, it's also on me as well. So I have to remember that I can't be the one to immediately be so quick to be like, this is Prime's fault. And then I call my fleet manager and take it out on my fleet manager, or I take it out on Prime. And, they could have something to do with it, but it's not their fault. And that's why I said I just been like sitting around and thinking, and really trying to better myself as a better business partner. I'm trying to better myself as a better business owner. In case I decide to do this on my own, I can learn from my mistakes. That's how I learn. When you become an owner, you won't be forced. You can pick your own loads. The company is doing what's best for them, bro. I agree, and I also disagree, but only to a certain extent. One, like your main point, you are exactly right. I'd say that you are exactly right. But I can also say they could probably be doing what's best for them. But whatever was doing what's best for them, if I look at that load and I can deem that that load is the best option for my business and I accept that load, I'm doing what's best for me. Which is why the forced dispatch thing doesn't really apply to Prime, because Prime can send me a load all they want, but until I say yes, I don't have to take that load. They can't make me take a load. So like I feel like forced dispatch, people will take that term and use it a little lightly. Like forced dispatch literally means take this load or you're fired. It doesn't mean take this load or sit and wait for the next one. Like if you don't want to sit and wait for the next one, take the load. That's not forced dispatch. You chose to take that load because you didn't want to sit. But as far as forced dispatch is concerned, I I can't say that I've ever been forced dispatch. Like, cause I haven't. I haven't been forced dispatch ever. Every load I've ever taken, whether it be on load choice or sent to me by my fleet manager since I've been leased, was not forced dispatch. I got proposed the load, or they committed me to the load, and then once I review the load, even if it's committed to me, I can still say no. But if I look at it and I'm like, hey, this I would like to go to that area on this day at this time because that's a great reload area, or it's a decent reload area. Oh, this is actually paying pretty decently. I know once I take out my fuel calculations and my IFTA calculations for my monthly audit, I feel like I'm still going to be in the green. You know what? This is not a bad load for my business. And once I hit that green accept button, whatever happens with that load could cancel. That load could get delayed. There could be a 72 car pileup in Pennsylvania, whatever the case may be. But those factors are not taken into consideration when you are looking at loads. That's why I say once you start looking at options or start looking at loads, you have to look or think about worst case scenario options. Like what if the highway gets shut down? You're stuck on the highway 23 hours. That's not Prime's fault. Stuff happens. You know what I mean? So that's what I look at. That's what I've been like looking at. I decline a lot of loads that could work out just because The second you accept the load, it's your problem then. Exactly. It's exactly my point. But that's also trucking, and no less trucking. We've had talks before, and you know, and any truck driver knows that stuff happens. Like no job is perfect. Like before I was a truck driver, I was a claims adjuster for property and casualty, and commercial insurance. I never had a perfect day. Every day that I received a phone call in my office, there was some type of death or some type of property claim where something happened to the building. There's always bad news every time I answer the phone. Stuff happens. You can either help that person or you can't. At Prime and trucking, you can either take that load or you can't. But if you take that load or you take that call, you as or me in my case, as a truck driver or me as the claims adjuster have to see, I choose to see it through. You know, despite what happens, that's just the risk you take when you accept the load. And I'm saying that to say I had to sit down this week, luckily because I had so much time, I literally had to sit down and reevaluate myself as an owner. Like I know that I think a lot. I think about all kind of stuff, you guys. Like I think about so much stuff, but I find myself sometimes being complacent. Like a lot of times when I see stuff on like Facebook or YouTube, I watch a YouTube video of someone talking about a situation, and in my mind, like obviously I'm watching the content to get people's views and get see try and figure out what other people see, kind of broaden my horizons. But then things would happen or people would say stuff or comment stuff or whatever the case may be, and in my mind I'll have a split reactionary thought like, man, this person is an idiot. But then I have to think like at one point I was an idiot too. I didn't know what I was talking about until I sat down and started to learn and figure stuff out. In which I can now, once that thought retracts, I can now respond in another light to teach or to motivate or whatever the case may be. But I had to sit down and actually come, bring myself back down to a, to me, a normal person. I had to bring myself back to a normal person. I feel like when I'm out here, I do feel like that I'm not gonna say better than most people, but I'm gonna say that I do feel like I have a lot more experiences than most people because of the questions that I ask, because of the experience that I have, because of the research or the learning that I've done in the time that I have been here. I do feel like that I operate my business a little to a lot better than most operators. Now, I don't say that I am better than people. I'm just more experienced. But I had to sit down this week and realize that not everybody has done that, and I need to give people a chance to either learn with me or learn from me, and vice versa. I have to sit down and give Prime a chance to teach me or to help me understand, or whatever the case may be. Basically, I had to calm myself down, and I had this conversation with Travis. I talk with Travis a lot, as y'all know. If y'all don't know who Travis Kinley is, go to his YouTube, youtube.com/Travis Kinley Lives. Great, inspirational dude. I talk to him every day. We talk on FaceTime every single day. But talking with him and uh, we both talking about what's going on, what we're dealing with and stuff like that. It's just, it's more of that he doesn't really answer my questions. And if you're watching this, Travis, you know this is true. But I'm coming back to the point. Don't be sucking your teeth yet. Whenever I talk to Travis, and I know when I talk to people, I look for an answer from that person. Travis never gives me that answer. What Travis does though, and it's the reason why I talk to him all the time, is Travis helps me find the answer on my own. Like, and that's what I have to look at in business. The answer is not always going to be there. You just have to find the answer. And once you find that answer, now you understand the situation that everything is not perfect. Like me sitting all this week is a lot of people's fault. But what have I learned from it? I've learned that I've been able to, in my mind, reestablish my entire business model to operate differently and more effectively. I was able to sit down with Brian and able to teach him everything that he needs to do before he gets out on his own. We were able to sit down and discuss in detail about macros. We were able to talk about hours of regulation. I was able to sit down and do my job without having to be like, start the truck, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, it's sometimes you takes a minute to sit down and just talk. Like, I think we sat and talked in driver's seat. Yesterday we stopped, took a break. We were at a rest area. We stopped, obviously used the bathroom and stuff. But instead of rushing right back to the truck to go sit in our truck for a 30-minute break, we went and sat out in the rest. Like, we walked around the rest area. Sat down, just having a regular old conversation at the table. Like, really just taking a moment to take ourselves out of the lives of being truck drivers and just being a normal person for once. And I feel like a lot of people are forgetting to do that. I know I am very guilty of it because I think before I started training again, my longest extent out was 4 months before I went home. And now I've learned I need to stop doing that. I need to take more time to myself because and I feel like I said this on my video, coming back from home time. I do overwork myself. I do, and I never realize it until I go home or I take myself out of the truck driver's seat. Once I take myself out of the truck driver's seat, I feel a lot better. Like, once I go home and rest and actually not have to think about what time my 10-hour break is over, or what speed I need to maintain to get to my destination on time, or if my fuel light comes on, I need to make sure that I don't drive another 218 miles before I get fuel in it just to keep my fuel costs down. Like, if I have to learn to take a second to get out of that, and covering up my thumb trying to read the comments, I had to take myself to get out the comments. I'm take myself to get out of that zone of overthinking because I'm sure I do this. I don't know for sure, but if something happens, i.e., this week, I'm very quick to lash out at someone, and it's not 100% their fault. Like, I have to be able to, like, look at stuff and be like, you know what, I could probably have done this differently, or look at it from the other perspective, or give someone a chance to say their side or to say their piece. Like, I feel like I don't do that. I feel you stay positive. I appreciate it. Chris, good morning. Philip, good morning. I'm working on taking more time off as well. Yeah, like, it's I don't know why I do it. I guess it's because, and Matt, you obviously have a reason to take time off. You have a super nice car that you can work on. But I literally go home just to sleep. Like, that's it. Good morning. So important to balance life. I too am a workaholic. And see, and that's what I'm talking about, Miss Kelly. Like, it's being able to understand that you do work too hard, or there is a possibility that you do work too hard, and you need to be able to sit down and just not do anything for a minute. And as truck drivers, that 10-hour break is not, we all know it's not really a 10-hour break. There's so much stuff that we do on a 10-hour break. We watch TV, we catch up with our family, we play video games, we trip plan for the next leg of our trip or the end of our trip, or we take showers, we eat. Our 10-hour break is more like 5 or 6, just to be completely honest. But the 10-hour break does not provide you enough time to sit down and actually unwind from the day. And it's now, can it, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I'm saying, me personally, especially as a trainer, my 10-hour breaks are never 10-hour breaks. I am resting for 10 hours or not working for 10 hours, yeah, but I've noticed that I don't allow myself, and this is training or solo. I don't allow myself to unwind or unravel from the day or from the journey if I'm still on the truck. And even that, just that 30 minutes of just taking me and Brian off the truck just to go sit in that rest area, it was that was probably one of the best 30-minute breaks. And it was really 24 minutes because, I had the time in the back of my head still. But we literally sat and talked for a little bit, and then we sat and listened to the birds chirp. Right by the highway, listen to the cars go by. And I was explaining to Brian, because Brian brought up a point. We were sitting in the rest area. He was like, "Man, I really wish this highway was right here." And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Like, to me," and well, he's obviously sleeping right now, or he would attest to this. But I was like, the highway kind of adds to the ambiance. It's both worlds without one world overpowering another. Like, we can sit down, You listen to the breeze blowing through the trees, the leaves rustling. You listen to the birds chirping. You can hear, people walking and talking, getting to the bathroom or going on a road trip with their families. And at the same time, you also hear the road noise of the highway. But not one sound is more than the other. It was really a perfect balance of just serene sound. But if I never took the time to just sit down and listen to it, I probably never would have heard it. It never would have provided me peace of mind. And that was just 24 minutes of sitting down. Like, imagine if I were to start doing this on, well, not me personally, because if I'm solo, I drive nights. But if I was a daytime driver, imagine me taking my 30-minute breaks at a rest area and just, making myself a sandwich or making myself some lunch on the truck at a rest area, taking my lunch out to a picnic table, and just literally sitting down and enjoying my 30 minutes instead of what I usually do is take my 30-minute break in the fuel island. Y'all can get mad at me all y'all want. I take my 30-minute break in the fuel island because when I take my 30-minute break, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I dare you to show me one truck stop that is full of people actually getting fuel at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yes, I take my 30-minute break to the fuel island at night. Now, if I'm doing daytime shift, obviously I go and park. But y'all can get mad at me all you want. But I feel like my day would be so much better if I take the time just to sit back and just relax, chilling, brother. You get that ice cream loaded and roll in. I don't have any. I haven't had ice cream loaded in quite some time, actually. We stay out for 3 to 4 months at a time. I did, and I feel like as a team, obviously it's more lucrative. You have your other half with you. You know what I mean? But for me, it it's just me. Like, especially if I'm solo, like I don't have a need to stay out 3 to 4 months. Like I can. I'm about to start just doing 5 to 6 weeks, 5 to 6. It's either gonna be 5 to 6 or 6 to 8 weeks, and then I'm just gonna go home for a week or two because I feel like that would be better for me. Like I was doing the couple months out at a time as solo, and I've noticed as like it's nice. Don't get me wrong, the money's good, but the money's good the same way either way you look at it. Depending on how you run your truck. But I just don't. I just want to start taking more time to myself. I feel like I've done the hard work phase, and trucking is something I love to do, but I'm still I never say it, but I always feel it. I always feel like trucking is a job, and to me it's not. To me, trucking is a hobby because I love driving and traveling the country. Now I just happen to have a longer vehicle and get paid for it. But I have to remember that driving is my hobby, and I need to get back to that, like just being able to relax or being able to go see friends in different parts of the states. I need to get back to doing that. I haven't done that in a couple months. Like it's well, for obvious reasons that I won't say, but I just needed. I feel like I needed to take a step back and kind of reevaluate who I am or who I was as a person. That super helpful person or that super nice person that you meet at the truck stop and just have a casual conversation with. I need to get back to that because I feel like I've gotten too wrapped up in go 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 or too wrapped up in this having a certain load or a certain revenue or just getting too tied up and it's not I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I do have to have some type of balance. Just like Miss Kinley said, you have to have some type of balance. And I lost that balance. Like that's what I'm saying. And we catch up on comments. Yeah, man, we got 30 miles away and can't deliver until tonight. Yeah, see, that happened to me too. I'm on home time now, and I'm actually taking 18 days off because my wife's birthday plus Mother's Day, taking her on small vacation. I would tell you it's hard being home because I don't want to go back out. And I hear that a lot. But, for someone like me, I don't have anything like that at home. It's just me. Good, easy day and good pay. I'll holler at you after a while. Yes, sir, Chris. You take care, buddy. Listening to all sounds is relaxing. Yeah, it really was. It was probably, like I said, it was one of the best 30-minute breaks I've seen. I have to go back, Ross, and watch the video on all your sitting on loads and see what I can learn from it. Just been a busy few days. Yeah, for sure, man. And drop a comment if you have a question or if you think of any questions. Like if y'all look in the description box, email address is on there. Also my Instagram. I do have a Facebook for this YouTube page, and I noticed that I use it. If y'all have questions or you just want to have a conversation, shoot me an email. Shoot me a message on Instagram. Like that's just different ways to contact me. I guess I don't know. But like that's the way you can contact me. Good morning, Joe. How's it going? But yeah, but literally, I literally just came on here to say like, I I don't. I feel like that I've forgotten myself, and I feel other drivers probably have forgotten themselves. They're obviously everybody's circumstance is different, or circumstance is different. Jeez, I feel like everybody's circumstance or situation is different, but I feel like we are all. Oh, actually, let me take that back. I know that we are all human. Humans need breaks. Humans need to be able to rest. Humans need to be able to understand and comprehend different situations. But I feel like because like I know I have an addictive personality. Like if I have my mindset on one thing, I'm gonna attack that one thing until I understand every piece of information about it, and that's just how I am. But if I do that to a general category, I can find myself wrapped up in it so quickly that if anything deters me away from it, or anything takes me off of my track, I feel like, and I probably know I'm so quick to lash out. And like, no, I'm not like cursing people out every day, but like, I know that I'm not the best me that I can be. And oftentimes when Travis calls me, even though he doesn't know it, I could be thinking about something, and me and Travis have a regular conversation, but just talking with, just having that one person to speak with, or to get some thoughts out that you've been thinking about, and just having a regular conversation. And I've noticed, because yesterday I was really angry. I didn't notice it, but I was really angry. I didn't have that much sleep. I didn't sleep that well. I was just really just angry. I was angry at everyone. And I told Brian, Brian woke up from his 10-hour break because I had Brian do a 34-hour reset. And Brian woke up a little bit early, and I just finished driving so we could sit for a little while before coming here to Springfield. And I told Brian came up to the seat, and Brian looked at me, and I looked at him, and I'm like, Brian, number one, good morning. But number two, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know what's wrong, but I'm in a bad mood. I have a bad attitude, and I just want to let you know if whatever, if I say something out of place, or I feel like I lash out, I want to let you know I apologize. But I know that I am not myself. And he was like, he understood. He went inside, got some food, and gave me some space. I greatly appreciate Brian, because at that moment it wasn't it wasn't trainer trainee. It was just man to man. Like, listen, like, it's not time for you to drive yet, obviously. But I want to let you know I really don't mean anything by anything, but I just know that I'm not myself. Right after that, Travis calls me. I talked to Travis like, I don't know, like an hour or something. I don't know. He kept calling me. He was keeping me up. But at just sitting talking to Travis, I don't even think we were talking about trucking. To be honest, I couldn't even tell you what we were talking about. Oh no, talking about getting. So we actually worked on the problem, just 'cause how he gonna get home. Just sitting down and talking to Travis, and obviously I ate, because I didn't eat either. But I got some food. I talked to Travis. I talked to, I called, talked to my mom. Obviously, I sat down, talked to Brian, and I felt better. Like, but I feel like some people are not themselves when they talk sometimes, and they they can't catch it, and then stuff happens, and then like, oh man, why'd I do that? You know what I mean? Let me see. Sorry, I'm fat, so I'm like walking is like exhausting. Just wondering, after yesterday's driver meeting, after you commented, did anyone reach out to you? So, Scott Williams, yes, someone did reach out to me. I had my fleet manager reach out to me. But me and my fleet manager have been talking about the situation already over this past week. But actually, the operations supervisor actually called and left me a voicemail. But I was on my I was sleeping because I was on my rest break. And then he called me again, and I woke up, and we actually had a very good conversation, where, in to the point that myself, my fleet manager, and this operations supervisor. Obviously, I'm not gonna put his name out there, but we all came, or we are all on the same page on the issue. We're all gonna work towards resolving, and this resolution didn't come at, because how, I won't say, but anybody who works for anyone, if you bring an issue to your supervisor is quick to what? All right, well, you need to work on this. You know what I mean? But that phone conversation that I had with operations, or I hate to say operations, but this person represented Prime, so I'm going to say Prime. But this person that I had, or this conversation that I had with Prime, and this conversation I had with my fleet manager, which is my business partner, we all came to the same conclusion without having to point fingers at, you should be doing this better, or you could have done this, or you could have did that. It was no finger pointing. There was no accusations. There was a problem. There was a discussion of how we got to the problem, a discussion of why that this is a problem, and then there was a discussion on how we're going to work towards to fix it. And that was the end of the conversation. That meant more to me than any other conversation I could have had with anyone else. And luckily, me and this supervisor has had a conversation before, and he remembered who I was. We've had a conversation similar to this last year, so that kind of helped. But two, that conversation alone meant more to me about Prime than me just being angry or me just sitting down and sulking. Like, if I was going through this and I didn't reach out to my fleet manager, I probably could have sat down here like, you know what, Prime isn't for me. I'm gonna quit Prime. Like, like I don't need this. I know I can do much better elsewhere. Like I could have had thoughts like that. But instead of sitting down and marinating on an issue, I recognized that I had an issue that I could not resolve on my own, even though I'm on low choice. Like obviously I can plan my own truck, but I haven't done that this week. I've allowed my fleet manager to plan my truck because that's what he wanted to do. I don't have an issue with that. Well, outside of the sitting part. Anyway, but that meant more to me coming from Prime just to have I had an issue, and I hate to say that I'm just a driver, or I'm just a number, in which I'm not. When Prime reaches out to me, they don't call me by my truck number. They call me by my name. When I call them, they call me by my name. Like when I call my fleet manager, I don't even give out my truck number anymore. Like he answers the phone, I'm like, hey Brian, or hey fleet manager. Well, now his name's out there now. Sorry. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, hey Ross, how's it going? I'm like, oh, I guess you don't need my truck number because he knows who I am as a person. I don't feel like just another number. And I know a lot of people who hate Prime or Prime's the worst thing ever or Prime doesn't care about their drivers. Like that's fine. Maybe you drove for Prime and your fleet manager didn't care about you. Like every situation is different. I feel like, and it's probably not wholeheartedly true, but I do feel like Prime actually does care about my well being as a business owner. Not just because I work for them, but just because in situations exactly what I'm talking about right now. I had a issue. Brought it to my fleet manager. I talked to my fleet manager 3 times, and when I said I talked to him 3 times, I didn't have to keep repeating the issue. It's just like, hey, you know, what's going on with this? I see this is happening again. What's going on? We had a conversation about it. Like, all right, that's fine. If you can find something and work yourself out, let me know. Boom, in the conversation. We did that 3 times because there were 3 different loads that it happened on. But excuse me. But once I brought it up to the operations supervisor, it wasn't it wasn't an attack on me. Like, oh well, did it didn't immediately turn into, well, did you talk to your fleet manager, or did you look at these loads more before you accepted it? It wasn't super accusational. Like it was literally just, hey, I see you had an issue. I put up your truck. I put up your settlements. I see what the issue is. Let's have a discussion. Okay, we had a discussion, and it was great. We came to a conclusion. We came to an agreement that what happened is messed up, and we're gonna work towards a solution. That's all I ever ask for. I don't call Prime, be like, I sat for a whole week waiting on a load. I need a check. I don't need a check. I want to be able to, if I have an issue, I know if I'm having an issue, someone else is having an issue. So usually when I do stuff, like I want to be able to bring up an issue in case this can help someone else out. I'm not looking for compensation. Like I don't, like, yeah, layover would be nice, obviously, but that's not what I bring up the issue for. I bring up the issue because if this is an issue and it's happening to me, if it's happening to me, that means it's happening to somebody else. So if I can bring it to a supervisor's attention, like, hey, this is happening. Oh, let's look into it more. Perfect. Now he's looking into it more. Now the next 2, 3, 14 trucks that have also been going through this now getting attention on it because they're fixing my issue. So I feel like anytime I have a situation and I communicate, just like Mrs. Kinley just said, once I communicate, we can come up with a solution that not only benefits me, it benefits other team trucks, it benefits Prime, it benefits everyone. And I feel like the way that I bring about things or bring up topics is not, like I said, I don't call Prime and immediately like I need to be paid for my time sitting. I come to Prime as I don't when I call Prime or I call my fleet manager, I don't call as a truck driver. I call as a business owner, and I'm calling my business partner like, hey, your business is good, but I feel like business can be better in this category. What do you think? We have a discussion about it, and business gets better. Like that's why I feel like I'm very well off at Prime. Is why I'm still at Prime because I have a great team that works with me. You know, even when I'm not using low choice, I have a great team that backs me or goes to bat for me. You know, I'm not gonna. I don't know if I can get that somewhere else. Can I get it somewhere else? I don't know. Maybe. But if I got it right now, what's the point of me looking elsewhere? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense to find greener grass when you're already standing in grass. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that Prime doesn't have its issues. Prime has its issues. I bring it up. They either get discussed or they don't. But I'm not gonna go look for another company that doesn't appreciate my voice or my opinion or my ideals. Because sometimes I just call my fleet manager like, "Hey, I had this idea. Tell me what you think about it." And tell him my idea, and he'll say, "Man, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna look into it." Or, "Man, that's a really crap idea. You're an idiot." Like, honestly, he doesn't say that, obviously, but we sit down and have a discussion like that. Like, it's not just like my fleet manager is not my boss. You know what I mean? Like, I am my boss. Like, I sign my paycheck and I pay myself out of my business. Like that's like me as a person, I work for my LLC. My LLC is partnered with Prime. I don't work for Prime, I drive for Prime because my business is contracted to Prime. So a lot of the things that I look at, I have to remember that I'm not an employee of Prime, but I need to talk with Prime or I need to discuss things with Prime from one business to the other. Now, obviously, Prime is a way bigger business than my LLC is, but sitting at a table or sitting at a bank, there a business is a business. You know, if it's not working out for one business, it's not going to work out for the other. And often I try and have conversations in that regard to where it's like, all right, if I bring up this issue, let me bring up this issue and explain it in a way that it's going to affect not only me, but it's going to affect you as Prime, in this case, Prime. It's going to affect Prime as well. And let's see if we can come up with this issue, like the issue of sitting. Yes, my business sat for a lot of hours this week. Well, what else does that mean? That means that all those hours that my business sat, Prime was not able to run freight in those hours through my business. That affects both of us. So the issues that I have, if it affects both of us, I'm gonna bring it up. Even if it just affects me. Like, man, this dude's talking to me all kinds of crazy. Hey, this dude's talking to me crazy. I bring that up too. But in this particular instance, I can't be angry at Prime for doing this when one, it probably was just going to fly under the radar unless I said something. But because I brought it up and had a discussion and had a open dialogue about it, instead of just being angry and like, oh, well, what about me? What about me? What about me? And that was the first thing out of my mouth when the supervisor called me. It was like, you know, I'm not complaining about the revenue. I'm not complaining about the loads. What I'm complaining about is just the time or lack of contingency plans on doing these loads. That's it. Because if I'm missing out on loads, you guys are missing out on loads. And that's just what it is. Like, yeah, are there loads that don't pay well? Yeah. But sometimes I take them just to get to a better area. But if I'm sitting on a load because if I pick up a load on Monday that I know that I can get there by Monday night, but that customer's not willing to take that load until Thursday, there should be some type of system in place that we can do something, whatever that something is, especially as a team truck. There should be something in place to where we wouldn't have to sit from Monday to Thursday. And that was the argument, or not argument, but that's the discussion that I brought up with Prime. And like I said, being just having that sit down conversation with Prime and my fleet manager just further prove my point. I feel like the way that I attack things or the way that I bring things up is a better way to do things than just to be angry. Just to be just to like how do I need to get paid for this? Like that stuff will come. Hold on a second. Skeletor, what's going on? I know I'm super behind on comments because I keep rambling. Honestly, my flea market is the only reason I haven't left Prime yet. Hey, Mike, what's going on? I'm here now. Hey, Travis. Look, so now Travis is here after I've already talked about him. Look, I was talking about your mom. I was talking about you to your mom. I was talking to everybody. How you don't never help me out, Travis. Like you don't never answer my question. No, I complimented you. You'll have to catch it on the replay though, or maybe somebody would be nice and comment and tell you what I said. But again, I have to remember to not be angry all the time. And now that Travis is here, Travis can attest. Like, all right, Travis, whenever we're on the phone and we are uh we are talking, right? And I ask you a question, or vice versa, you ask me a question. Do we ever answer each other's questions, or do we help each other find the answer? I just want to see what he said before I backpedal to be like, see, I said that, or no, I didn't say that, and he's a liar. So, but while he's doing that, I'm gonna keep talking. That's just how I feel. Like for Prime, a lot of people are very quick to, something happens. Travis, we already talked about that. You need to answer the question at hand. This is what I be talking about. See what I mean? He'll never answer the question, but then y'all just saw it live just now. Anyway, that's why I feel like, does it suck being at Prime? No. Boom. Travis said, definitely help each other find the answer. See? I said that earlier. We had a whole like spill. I plugged your YouTube channel and everything. We already did all that. Also, Prime Trucker Rob is super close to 1,000 subscribers. If you guys, you don't even have to watch his content, but just help him get to 1,000 subs. But he makes great content. Like some of his favorite videos, like he just did a YouTube video. It's like a AT&T sketch. He was on the phone with AT&T customer service. Man, that thing was so funny. Anyway, Prime Trucker Rob. Shout out to him. If you can or you feel so inclined, go drop him a sub. Tell him I sent you. Anyway, I'm glad that you said that. Teach a man to fish. I'm glad you brought that up. So, me and Travis were talking yesterday, and I was telling Travis that I was angry. I was angry yesterday. And Travis is trying to convince me to go back out to California, and I told Travis, absolutely not. And he's like, you just got to cast the net back out there. And I'm like, no. Every time I go out to try and catch fish, or loads in this case, in California, with my net, which is my truck, or the analogy I made was my net was full of holes because every time I go out to California in my truck, it never works out well for me. And Travis was like, hey, just go out, just got to cast that net out again. And which is, to me, I analogy the net with Prime. Like, you know what? I can cast the net out again, but that net has holes in it. And somehow I keep slipping through the hole. And he's like, just got just cast the net. Cast the net. All right, Travis. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna get a new net. And then once I get that new net, I'll try going out to California again. But I don't have anything against California. It just never worked out for me. I know this is getting long, so I'm about to wrap this up because look, this is proof. I've been outside walking for an hour and I don't exercise. And I'm tired. My back hurt. I got all kind of stuff going on right now. But moral of the story, don't forget to remember who you are. Like, don't forget to sometimes put yourself in another person's shoes. Like we get complacent. I know I get complacent. But if we're having a discussion with someone, don't forget to try and empathize or understand where that person's coming from or what they're seeing or try and understand their point of view. Me and Prime don't see eye to eye all the time, but me and Prime can sit down and have a discussion to understand why we don't have the same point of view, or I can sit down and have a platform to understand each points of view, like not only mine, but my business point of view, not only my business point of view, but also Prime's point of view. And I feel like that has helped me. So, and also to take breaks. So let's see. California's going to be getting a lot better now. Spring equals many more produce loads, especially for team trucks. Yeah, I just took a produce load from there. It's been working out for me, might not as much for him. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I personally want to thank each and every last one of y'all for interacting with me, for coming to talk to me in my little rant of thinking. I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna end this live, and I might do it on purpose just to see what he say, but I know I'm gonna end this live, and then I'm gonna wait like I don't know about 5 minutes. And I feel like I'm either gonna get a text from Travis or I'm gonna get a FaceTime call from Travis. And he gonna be mad like, "Bo, you said you was gonna call me back when you was done with the live. So you done with the live? You gonna call me back, Bo? You call how you say it, Travis?" Anyway, I'm gonna start messing with Travis and gonna get on out of here. Like I always say, y'all. Look, see, like I always say, if y'all are thinking y'all might as well do it logically, everyone knows that I am. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend and y'all enjoy the rest of y'all time here. Y'all have a good